Hello and welcome to the Wisdom of the Zodiac monthly full moon classes and summaries. Today's class will be taken from Wisdom of the Zodiac Volume 2, Chapter 22, titled Leo, Self-Consciousness. As you remember, this year we have 2 Leo full moons, and last month I spoke from Chapter 21, titled Victory Over or Within Yourself. And that was depicted in the story of Hercules, where he had to go into a cave with the lion, close the doors and windows, and face the lion and battle that lion within himself in the quiet and loneliness of the cave, and face himself and conquer himself and have victory. Now we continue that labor and we look at it in a slightly different way, which is called self-consciousness. How does one become conscious of one's higher self or true self? And this is given in this chapter 22 in a beautiful way, and it is divided into 7 sections. Let me start by reading the first paragraph, which is on page 253 if you'd like to follow along. At the time that our sun enters the energy field of Leo and the full moon of Leo arrives, a special kind of energy is channeled to our planet from Leo via our sun. This energy has the property of making man or woman self-conscious. This term has many layers of meaning. So the first question that comes out is, how conscious are you? Are you conscious of yourself, of where you are in the context of all of life? This is what this chapter, in my opinion, is all about. To make us conscious physically, emotionally, mentally, and higher. I'll discuss some of those today. And how to do that, and so that you can see your life in context of the greater life. You don't feel so isolated and cynical and sad or whatever, or full of ego and vanity that you are the center of your universe. So this has many, many layers of meaning, and that first stage, it has 7 stages. That first stage is when we become aware of our physical body, our physical presence. This is beautiful. Let me read that second paragraph. The first stage is when you become aware of your physical existence. Some people become conscious of their physical existence when they are 2 years old. Many others cannot reach such an awareness, even at a ripe age. Isn't that true? They just float on the currents of life without being aware that they exist physically, except when they are seriously sick, or when they're old, or when they're dying, or when they lose something. So the first stage of becoming self-aware, which we in the spiritual or religious and philosophical communities cannot forget, is to know what is your physical existence. Start your physical existence with your own physical body in context of your home, your office, within your family, within the greater environment. So my question would be, are you aware of your physical environment? Do you know what it is all about? Are you sensitive to the colors, the sounds, the beauty, and the changing of the environment? Are you aware of yourself and what is happening inside you? And you are going to find that out, because when you become consciously aware of your physical existence as an individual, you are going to value who you are much more than when you are totally unconscious. You are going to value your physical body, your beauty, your strength, your youthfulness, your energy. You are also going to be conscious of the physical things that you surround yourself with. Are they important? Do they serve my needs and my interests, and so on? So that's the first state of consciousness. And it has many, many layers. So you're going to say, yes, I'm aware of my physical consciousness. So the next question is going to be for you is, what state is my physical consciousness in? My physical world in? Am I really taking care of that vehicle that expresses the most everyday affairs of my soul, of my inner thinking, of my inner feeling? So that's the first step. The second stage of consciousness of the self is experienced at the moment when you feel that you are not a physical being, okay, not only a physical being, but also an emotional existence. You are an emotional being. It is at this stage that you become consciously sensitive to people and your environment. These things really hurt you or give you joy. You feel miserable or happy. You measure all things around you by the measure of your feelings and emotions. So when you consider that emotional self-discovery, it's interesting how many people have it or don't have it. It's so interesting. When was the moment when you discovered you had feelings? That you discovered that what you say and do affects people's feelings? That you can pick up people's feelings? This is a very precious treasury inside of you, that you are sensitive to people's feelings. This is how compassion, consideration for other human beings develops. People who don't have an emotional sensitivity to people are cruel. They're inhumane. They do all kinds of things for their own physical self-interest. So you can see that you can be fully aware of your money, your material well-being, your physical body and your needs, but be completely unaware of the feelings and emotions of others around you. That is when we see darkness and evil take over people's lives, and they will do anything to have whatever they want, and at the expense of other people's feelings. So you're going to really consider your feelings and how they come about. Are you then balanced in your feelings? Do you consider other people's feelings, or is it just about you? So you can see that at the beginning of becoming conscious at any level, physical consciousness, emotional consciousness, and then later on we will see that the first layer of that is to be completely interested in what's in it for me. So how do I feed my physical body? How do I feed my emotional body? And then eventually you get to the next level, next layer, and what happens is you start considering what is the good of others' feelings, others' well-being, others' security and sense of wellness and happiness. So this is very, very shocking for us. For example, the first time somebody said to you, "You hurt my feelings. You're not considering my feelings. How about if you listen to me? What about me and how I feel and what choices I make?" And these are really shocking for us. So this is the theme now for this whole chapter, the idea of shocks. Let me read that last paragraph on page 254 so that you can see how that idea of shocks and shifts in our life interrelate. Progressive shocks repeat themselves on any level of consciousness until the full identity of that vehicle is created. People are not privileged to have higher shocks until their identities on lower levels are built and then surpassed. Now this is really an interesting concept, and I went to the book Cosmic Shocks to review the understanding of shocks in people's lives, because if you sit down and think about it and consider, you will see that there are continuous waves of shocks that wash on the shores of your life that sometimes you are completely oblivious about, and sometimes they really get you, and you wonder, what in the world are you going to do? So the idea of shocks is this, that the cosmic magnet, this is Anasia's wisdom teachings, sends out waves or impulses of life. And these translate themselves into three different ways in all waves, in all sections of life, from the highest form of life to the most concrete rock level of our life. There are three different ways that these can be translated. One is the shock of remembering. The second one is revelation. And the third is charging. So, when you consider in your life, how were things revealed to you? How were you reminded of the horrible position that you are in life, or the wonderful position in life that you want to maintain and sustain? And what kind of charging, energizing insights that you received from life? These are all different shocks, and they are very, very important waves of energy that come to us that at times we completely ignore, and sometimes we become exquisitely aware of them. We become exquisitely sensitive to them. Now a time will come when we will welcome these reminders, these revelations, these charging energies, because we know that it is on the wings and waves of these cosmic energies that change happens in us. So these shocks will come at our life And most of the time, at the beginning of the level of our consciousness, we are not aware. We just think we are being punished, or life is somehow dealing us the wrong cards or whatever, until we realize that these are going to be considered as shocks, unwelcome, painful events, until we have the bodies that sustain change in us, that we welcome when we are reminded of where we want to go, who we are, what our value is, and what we can accomplish. Or when we are given a revelation about where we want to go in the future and where we have been, or when we are given energy, an energy boost to continue on our path of searching, developing, of evolving. Okay, so these are shocks. If you want to read more about these, the most wonderful book I can recommend is called Cosmic Shocks. You will really, really enjoy that. So the second stage was to be aware of our emotional body, our sensitivity, and develop that in exquisite sensitivity to greater and greater parts of life, and see ourselves in context of all of life. Now we come to the third shock, or this third stage of becoming self-conscious, and that's discussed on page 255. The third shock at the Leo full moon brings a person mental self-awareness. This consciousness assumes identity on the mental plane. These shocks bring into your awareness the idea that you are a mental being. You are conscious of such a state of beingness. Such a beingness or identity needs time to actualize itself. Leo energy, year after year, exercises pressure to create a mental focus, a mental identity in you. Sometimes we think we have mental identity, we have mental ability, but studying books, getting degrees, knowing a lot of material doesn't mean we are mentally conscious. Mental consciousness, in my experience, is when you are able to reason, logic, and consider taking life step by step and thinking about cause and effect. For example, if I say to students, put 5 to 10 minutes aside every day, without fail, to read and study and meditate, they will very quickly, within a week or two, find out how much mental focus they have, how much mental identification. Now, if I say to the student, think of something new every day on how to understand a passage, instead of getting on the same groove, because we can do that, then they will find out very quickly where their mental consciousness is. So to find out where your mental consciousness is, see how deeply you can think, how creatively you can think, how grounded you can think, how you can take a problem and solve it, how you can see cause and effect. The more you can see cause and effect, the more mental consciousness you have. Now, what is important is that eventually we become so conscious of our physical, emotional, and mental well-being and state of being that we start consolidating the three in a beautiful body and personality, and that we are able to control that personality in the most beautiful way possible. And this takes us now on a higher spiral. Now, page 256, we're not done. And the next stage, which is the door that leads us to the higher worlds. Remember, the physical, emotional, mental consciousness is not leading us to the higher worlds yet. It is just positioning us on that path. And the gate is opening and we're saying, there's something beyond this life. Now what happens? The next door that's going to happen is, when it opens rather, is in the next stage. Your focus of consciousness is in the heart. This is the bottom paragraph on page 256. It is so beautiful. And this is a lesson that each of us has to learn on our own. Okay, or you develop heart consciousness. This is a stage that is called the guardian of the higher path. Okay, that is a gate, a trap door. We cannot go on the higher path without developing heart consciousness. What does that look like? Your development cannot go further unless you pass this stage. It is in the heart that your consciousness and the intelligence of your soul, the higher soul, the solar angel, fuse in each other, and you develop true love. True love is the key operating phrase here. Your love for nature, animals, human beings, and even art objects and furniture increases. Such a fusion of consciousness and intelligence of the soul takes place during the time of the Leo full moon, and you realize that in being graceful, kind, harmless, joyful, and beautiful, you can live with greater stability and balance. You discover that you can be more successful and advanced by living closer to your heart consciousness than in mind consciousness. So this is a very important stage that I'd like you to pause and consider, that when you achieve your physical identity and your awareness of where you are in your physical life, emotional life, mental life, the next stage is to develop that serene, true love that understands all of life and sees the beauty in life. And look at the qualities. You're looking to develop gracefulness, kindness, harmlessness, joyfulness, and beauty. Now, how does this come about? The way I learned how this comes about, and I try to help people when they ask me this question, is to see what bothers you. What is that recurring theme that bothers you? People that you hate or cannot stand, memories that grieve you, things that always bug you. Remember, the emotions or the mind or physically trying to handle these things doesn't solve the problem. The only problem is to love, forgive, and let go. When you are able to develop that true, immortal love inside of your heart and let go and forgive people who have hurt you, people that you have hurt, experiences that you have had that were less than optimum, things emotionally that wounded you, lack of joy or abuse that you received from people, you're going to remember that only true love is going to make it possible for you to heal and develop that inner resilience, that inner strength that will take you to the higher worlds. There's a real reason for this, and I'll let you think about it. How important it is to have harmlessness, true love, and true compassion for people before you go into the higher worlds. This is sadly lacking in people, and we can see how heartless people, people without true love, can really hurt other people. Now, one of the keynotes of true love, I will mention it and have you think about it, is you become more sacrificial and more harmless. Think about what those things mean. So what is the fifth stage? Fifth stage on page 257 is human being becomes a soul. You become a soul. And this is the most shocking experience, that when you realize your physical body is going to come and go, emotional body, mental body really don't get you anywhere except a consolidated sense of where you are. If you want to go to the higher worlds, the next stage has to be opened. If you want to go even further, you have to start functioning as a soul. That is so beautiful. And in that stage, you can feel terribly lonely, terribly detached from all of life. And it is just temporary. Don't worry about it. It is temporary because it is teaching you detachment. You withdraw your interest into your own soul, breaking all your identifications with your physical, emotional, and mental vehicles. For example, instead of worrying about everything, yakking nonsense, emailing nonsense every day and all day, you stop. Can you do this? Well, consider where you are right now and where you spend most of your time. That's a shocking experience if you can discover it. If you can stop for a minute and ask yourself, what did I talk about all day today? Did I listen to people? Am I listening to myself? Am I listening to my inside, what is happening inside of me? Those are very, very shocking, and you will discover painfully and feel very lonely about all the stuff that you do all day that has nothing to do with eternity, nothing to do with immortal values, nothing to do with the most essential in your life. And that is a very shocking discovery. Before that, you think it's all about you. It's all about your feelings. It's all about your diplomas. And then you go to that next stage. Now, this is an important stage to be in And some people withdraw from life. And you see that in hermits or monasteries, people withdraw and they need to just think things through and be on their own for a while. And this is this stage, because from here you become independent, you have your fulcrum, and it doesn't matter what is happening in your life, one side or the other, things don't sway you, things don't change you, you become stable and you become solid. That is the stage that you're looking for. Now, the next part is, it's beautiful, and of course you should read all of these very carefully and slowly. And I would recommend you read each stage of these 7 stages in the 7 days of Leo. And read each stage for one day, think about it. Wouldn't that be a beautiful practice that you can do for 7 days? Now in the next stage, page 258, number 6, it is in this stage, in the next stage of consciousness or awareness, that you lose all sense of identity and you become light, love, and power. In other words, you turn into the spiritual triad. That is a very high level of achievement where you are divine love, divine truth, and divine power. And you are no longer interested in the minutiae of life. What a beautiful sense of accomplishment and evolutionary consciousness that would be. At that stage, it is not even called consciousness anymore. You are aware, you are. And it's a beautiful ideal for us to aspire towards. Now let me just say something at this point. These happen not just one stage only. So for example, when you're becoming aware of your physical well-being, you slowly become aware of your emotions to just a tiny degree. When you advance in one and the second, you slowly become aware of your mind. Then you slowly increase your heart awareness. Tiny bit of soul consciousness, tiny bit of triadal consciousness. So it happens in tiny, tiny increments. Or you will see, as I see in people's lives and in my life, you will have that momentary shock where something is revealed to you and you get it. And then you go back to the old self. So these 7 stages are not just wonder opens and then you never go back. Sometimes we go back and forth until we are stable and that we understand. And that is the stage when your bodies are so strong that you are able to sustain that stage. Okay, so remember that, sustain that stage. So let's take it now to the 7th level of consciousness. It is achieved through the agency of Leo, and it is called cosmic crucifixion. I am that I am. And you know you are part of cosmos, you are one with cosmos, you have your identity, but you also see yourself in the entire awareness of space. Isn't that beautiful? So this is the time of the Leo full moon. It is an opportune time. Don't take these full moons lightly or as entertainment or as something that's just wonderful and you just do a little meditation with people and say a couple of ohms and a couple of mantras and you're fine. This is a very serious time. And when you have a shock in your life that reveals something to you, remember that's part of the roadmap of life, the wisdom of life. So the Leo full moon is bringing you that energy to provide us with a needed inspiration to further our soul discovery. This is where you are heading. The signs of self-discovery are symbolized by the lion. This is just a symbolic way of saying self-control, mastery, beauty and strength, creativity and contact with the higher life. That is really where we are heading. How do we go there? If you want to reach your destination, you need a map. This is why I love these teachings and these books on the wisdom of the Zodiac. They don't trap you in minutiae and on things that don't matter. They give you the wisdom to chart your map. And they tell you if you want to go here, this is how you get there. Now it's up to you to do it. So you need a map. The map gives you these 7 stages of development. These 7 stages are in all the wisdom teachings. They are contained in this Wisdom of the Zodiac books, in the consciousness books that we are bringing out. Very important for you to read and study and meditate on. Find out where you are on the map. Okay? During your meditation these next 7 days, find out where you are on the map if you are daring, if you are willing, if you have the courage. to battle. If you don't, well, a shock is going to come to your life and wake you up. And if there's no shock, it says what? Find out where you are on the map and evoke a shock. Evoke a shock and forge ahead, because unless you walk on the path and reach the one within you, who projected your existence in the screen of unreality, your life will be an empty dream. And we all want meaning in our life. That's why you are here watching this video. That's what I do every day. I want meaning in my life. We all want meaning, and we want to know where's the map that will take us to a more meaningful, abundant, full of experiences. A life that really has beauty in it for us, and it makes our heart glad. There's only one thing that makes sense: to have a map and proceed with a map. And we have GPSs now that we put in our cars, or we have when we go hiking. Those are maps. They're made because they tune in with exactly where you want to go. That's so beautiful. I like that imagery of a map. And you're going to proceed on that map with what? Self-forgetfulness. Forget about yourself. You are part of a greater whole, and that's where your value is. When you are part of a greater whole, your power, you are going to be harmless. You are going to be in right speech all the time. Remember, what comes out of your mouth can build, hurt, destroy, or soothe, heal, and nurture people. That's what you're going to strive toward. Try not to stop on any station or any stage of achievement. Leave behind the station you achieve and forge ahead. Why do you do that? There's a mystery in that, and that is contained in the beautiful book, Ashrams, in the chapter titled Golden Chain. We proceed when we see who is ahead of us, and we move into that position, releasing that person to a new position, and we vacate our position so other people can come into that. So in movement, leaving the station behind and moving ahead, this is how we grow. This is how we serve life. This is how we become co-creators in all of life and become consciously aware of that golden chain that is part of our life. It is such a beautiful, beautiful concept. And as you study this teaching this month, figure when the full moon is and map your week. 7 days. This is all you need once a month. The day of the full moon, 3 days ahead, 3 days after. And each of the days of the full moon, take one of the stages and think about it. Think about where you are physically, your physical environment. Think about where you are emotionally the next day. Third, think where you are in your mental consciousness. Are you mentally clear? Are you learning new things? Are you sharpening your mind? Are you reaching into deeper areas of thinking and observing and meditating? Then go into your heart on the 4th day, the day of the full moon. Can't get better than that. Think about your heart. Think about the immortal love that you need to have inside of you, the depth of forgiveness, the letting go. Because if we don't do that, we do not step on that next stage. It is leaving all that behind and moving in beauty and awareness, step by step, glory after glory, it is said. This is how you're going to go. 5th day, your soul. 6th day, next step. 7th day, next step. So take these one step at a time and think about them. Now there are 3 seed thoughts that are discussed on page 259. I'm going to read these for you so that every day you can do one of these seed thoughts, and I thought about what would be a good way to do it. And the first one, the question is, can I do things better and live a better life? I would recommend that you do that for 2 days, day 1 and day 2. When you are thinking about your physical condition, and day 2 your emotional condition, ask yourself, can I do things better and live a better life physically? And then the next day emotionally, 2 days. The second question and seed thought for this full moon is, can I control my body, emotions, and thoughts, and be detached from them? Okay, and that's going to be for another 2 days, so that's day 3 and 4. You are going to think about this keynote. Can I control my body, emotions, and thoughts and be detached from them? And this is the time that you're reading about the mental consciousness and the heart consciousness. Isn't that beautiful? So you're going to think about that. Now the last one you're going to do for 3 days. And that is when you are reading the 3 stages, the last 3 stages. And the question is, what am I at this stage of my evolution? And what is my next step. You are going to think about what is your next step. So there you have 3 keynotes, and you're going to meditate 2 days on the first one, 2 days on the second one, 3 days on the third one, and that will take you through the 7 days of the full moon period. So today we are going to take the first one, and we're going to meditate on the first one. So this will be a guided meditation, so close your eyes and sit up straight, and look straight forward, and be in a very relaxed state, and I will guide you through each step, and give you a few minutes to meditate on the seed thought. As always, if you'd like to meditate a little bit longer, put your video on pause, take your time, and then when you're done, write out your notes. This is a very important part of meditation. Okay, if you're ready, close your eyes. Take a deep breath and relax. And put all your worries outside. And we are going to begin with a great invocation and say 1 Om at the end, and then I will guide us through the seed thought. As you're saying the great invocation, think of all the men and women in the world, in higher worlds and in incarnation, saying this beautiful, beautiful invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. The first seed thought is, can I do things better and live a better life? And if the answer is yes, then the question is, how? How do I do things better and live a better life? Start with your physical, go emotional, go mental, go higher. Be very systematic in your thinking. repeating, please. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate. Outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all men love. Thank you for joining me today. I always enjoy creating these summaries for you and hope to receive feedback from you. And I encourage you to find the roadmap in the Wisdom of the Zodiac books. These are beautiful books. They contain the wisdom of ages, and they will give you a beautiful guideline. Once a month for 7 days, you can't go wrong. Read and study and meditate. There's no reason to try to do too much. Just a little bit at a time will make you grow the strength of your vehicles and give wings to your heart and soul. So find time every day to sit and read, do your meditation, and join me monthly for these wonderful classes. I enjoy them so much. If you want to study more deeply, have a more in-depth discussion, we have a monthly discussion group that meets here, and we are happy to share those videos with you. Send us an email and we will tell you how you can subscribe. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Have a wonderful full moon. Thank you.